Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, in Nigeria, the names of the 82 Chibok schoolgirls freed by Boko Haram extremists are released, but opposition figures criticise the government for agreeing to a prisoner swap for the captives. Also, concerns about Nigeria's president's health are further stoked after Muhammadu Buhari heads out of the country once again for health checkups in London. And villagers in the sleepy seaside village of Palma in Mozambique fear that their hopes for growth and change are being extinguished. Plans for a natural gas project there are threatened by logistics, falling gas prices, and government scandal. But first, in Nigeria, parents anxiously scoured the list of the 82 schoolgirls freed from Boko Haram extremists over the weekend. The names were released on Monday. The former captives were part of a group of 276 girls abducted from their school in Chibok in 2014. 113 girls from the northeastern town are still missing. Nigeria reportedly agreed to free 5 Boko Haram commanders in exchange for the former students. Now, some opposition politicians from the PDP party, who were in power at the time of the girls' abduction, have criticised the government's decision to agree to the swap. Japheth Omojua tells us more.
There is no rational Nigerian that would share the concerns of the PDP. It doesn't come into play at all. And apart from that, if there is any organization in the entire world that doesn't have any moral grounds to criticize the current government for recovering the girls by negotiating with Boko Haram, the PDP should be the last. Because the PDP was in government when they were warned that this abduction was going to happen in April 2014. They didn't do anything. They were also alerted when the abductions were happening. They didn't do anything. The PDP government waited for 42 days before agreeing that these girls had actually been abducted. So they are the last people to say this current government is wrong. There is nothing wrong with negotiating to get to recover the girls. It is not an ideal situation to negotiate with terrorists. But there are extraordinary situations, and it happened not just with Nigeria, but even the likes of American Haqqani network in Afghanistan. Israel does it a lot with Hamas. There's IRA and the United Kingdom. There is Spain and the Basque separatists, several other ones. So it's a normal thing, extraordinary situation. So
negotiations with Boko Haram don't look like they're actually done yet. Is it likely that the remaining girls could also make it back home?
I think that's the rational thing to expect because this has happened twice now. That's the rational thing to expect. We just hope that it's not going to take as long as this has taken because these girls have been abducted for 3 years and a month. So we just hope that whatever negotiations are going on, let them get it over with as quickly as possible so that the 100 or so girls that are left can come back home.
Now, Japheth, sorry, the UN on Monday called on Nigerians to fully welcome back the returning Chibok girls. Considering just how much energy went into campaigning for their release, why would the UN feel a need to express such a sentiment?
I think that the Chibok girls issue is the colorful, I'm putting colorful in quote now, campaign, one of the colorful campaigns has rocked the world in the last 3 years. So it's understandable if the UN tries to get involved in the good side of it now. But I think the UN should have done a lot more in the last 3 years. I think, in my opinion, they did not do enough. I think that the pressure has mostly been on the Nigerian government. A lot of credit has to go to the Bring Back Our Girls group in Abuja, in Lagos, and all across the world. But I think so far, the right things are being done. It's an extraordinary situation, and we cannot afford to have a party when we should be looking to rehabilitate these girls, find ways to get them back to school and also reunite them with their parents.
Japheth Omojua there speaking to us from Lagos. Well, staying with Nigeria, after vowing to personally supervise the well-being of the Chibok girls, President Muhammadu Buhari flew out to see doctors in London again. There's been a lot of speculation about his health as he's been away on medical leave a lot this year. His absence from the last 3 cabinet meetings has led some to call for his replacement. Clément Bonero tells us more.
Muhammadu Buhari left Nigeria hours after meeting 82 schoolgirls kidnapped in Chibok by Boko Haram militants in 2014. The president had barely been seen in public for 2 weeks. The government says he's heading back to the UK for medical treatment, once again leaving Vice President Yemi Osinbajo in charge.
The length of the president's stay in London will be determined by the doctors. Government will continue to function normally under the able leadership of the vice president.
The 74-year-old leader spent 2 months in a London hospital earlier this year, being treated for an undisclosed illness. When he returned to Nigeria in March, he did not resume work immediately, saying he'd never felt so sick. His health further deteriorated in April, forcing him to miss 3 cabinet meetings. In Abuja, news of Buhari's absence is causing widespread anxiety.
It will be my joy and happiness to see the president back on his feet, back to Nigeria, back to his desk, and doing his work that we elected him to do.
We personally, as Nigeria, we are worried about it because nothing is moving, everything is stranded. Do you understand? So nothing is moving. So we are disturbed and worried.
The president's health is a sensitive issue in Nigeria. In 2010, President Umaru Yar'Adua died suddenly in office from an undisclosed kidney disease. His death triggered months of political instability.
Look now at some news in brief. Violent clashes broke out in Coligny in northwestern South Africa on Monday after 2 white farmers accused of murdering a 16-year-old black boy were granted bail. Locals torched a white family's home during the unrest on Monday. The defendants are accused of having thrown the boy out of a moving truck, having caught him stealing sunflowers. They were released on bail of around €340. In Johannesburg, police fired rubber bullets at rioters on Monday as protesters demanding more social housing and better government services blocked roads with rocks and burning tyres. Violence erupted in El Dorado Park, where demonstrators say the government's done little over the past 23 years to tackle the shortage of homes. A French mine worker kidnapped in Chad and taken to South Sudan was at Genaina airport in the west of Sudan on Monday after having been freed. Thierry Fraisier spent 89 days as a captive and was released after collaboration between Sudanese, Chadian and French intelligence services. Officials say that those kidnappers took Fraisier hoping for a ransom. None was paid. Well, to Mozambique now, where the small village of Palma had hoped that the discovery of gas reserves 7 years ago would fuel their fortunes. But the natural gas project on which they hung their hopes has fallen behind schedule, and a fall in gas prices and a scandal concerning government debt has further endangered their aspirations. Take a look.
These stretches of golden beach in Palma in Mozambique could soon give way to a thriving concrete jungle. Since vast gas reserves were discovered offshore in 2010, the country has dreamed of becoming an African Qatar. And impoverished local fishermen are waiting impatiently for development.
Thanks to this project, we're about to take off. We'll have jobs. Because there are no jobs here, we're dependent on the sea. And with the start of the project, I think lots of young people will get jobs.
Electricity, a new paved road, a bank, hotels and restaurants. But the gas project itself has fallen behind. Hit by a collapse in gas prices, multinational explorers have repeatedly postponed investments. Meanwhile, anxious villagers have finally accepted a deal to be rehoused a few miles away.
Just look at the size of our coconut, mango and cashew trees. We grow beans here. We grow all different types of food, but we don't know if we will still be able to do that there.
A massive debt scandal has also undermined the project. Anticipating a gas bonanza, the government borrowed $2 billion in secret loans. But when the IMF found out, it suspended budgetary support for the cash-strapped country.
It will be a long time until Mozambique can see the fruit of gas extraction, because the government will first have to use the revenues to pay down its past debts.
When the discovery was first made, it was estimated that the liquefied natural gas would be ready for export by 2016. The new best-case scenario is 2022. Not a moment too soon for the 50% of Mozambicans who live beneath the poverty line.
Well, that's it for Eye on Africa for now. Thanks very much for joining us, and do so again if you can. Take care.